Hi everybody, I decided it was time that I did a video outlining how I handle things, waste, etc., living off-grid, especially in a big motor coach like this. Always remember when you're watching my videos, I have no access to the internet at all, so sometimes I might say something, oh, I think it's this, or I remember I'm going by memory, because I can't just run over to a computer and Google things like we're all used to doing, okay? And I also cannot read the comments under my YouTube videos after I post them until the next time I go into town, I guess, and upload some more. I could read some comments. But I'm guessing that there's people wondering, what the heck do you do when your tanks get full and stuff like that? Well, that's what this video is all about. So even though I'm living in this big luxury motor coach, it's a 1997 model, but it was almost $400,000 US when it was new. I sure didn't buy it new. Somebody back then did, but not me. Somebody in, I think it was South Carolina. I bought it on eBay in February of 2013, and from a California dealer. Flew down to Las Vegas and drove it home in February in the winter time in 2013. That was an adventure. But anyway, and I've been living in it since then. I lived in this. This is my 9th year living in this motor coach, and I just love it. It's been a great. It was a great deal to begin with. It was a steal, and I got lucky because it's also been a very good coach. It doesn't have any slides, which is, I didn't really want a coach with slides, because for those first 8 years that I was living in my coach, I was living year-round in Alberta, up here in Canada, and it can get to be 40 below in Alberta, and I've seen 41 below zero in this coach, 40 below on more than one occasion. But that's a whole different story, prepping a motor coach for winter living and involving skirting, etc., multiple sources of heat. This coach has had a couple of modifications I'm going to show you that were made mainly for winter living, but they're also handy for off-grid living. For example, it now has an onboard, it has a miniature fireplace inside it that is quite cool, and it was done very professionally and smartly, so that I don't have to worry about a fire hazard. A lot of people freak about fireplace in RVs, and yeah, if it's not done right, sure, there's some cause for concern there. The other thing it has, and I mentioned this the other day on one of my other videos, I mentioned in passing about a Chinese diesel heater. First of all, I want to make sure that everybody knows that isn't some derogatory comment about Chinese people or products they make or anything else like that. The reason I referred to it about that, it's what it is. It's a miniature heater that runs off the main diesel tank of this motor coach. And these little heaters were originally designed, and what they're made for is for truck drivers to keep their cabs heated when they're sleeping at the side of the highway in the middle of winter, when it's like 30 below zero or something. They've got this little heater that's safe and will keep the cab of their truck warm. Well, guess what? Those little heaters were originally engineered and made by a company called Webasto, famous in diesel burner systems, etc. They spent a lot of money on R&D creating those little heaters, and when you buy one from them, I think they're like $2,500 or $3,000. Like, they're big money. Something there's no way I can afford. But there's Chinese companies that reverse engineered those heaters, and you can buy them, the cheap Chinese knockoff ones, on Amazon for less than $300 Canadian. And they just work extraordinarily well in an RV situation. My brother first put one in his truck camper, and it was cooking him out in there. And I said, well, we got talking, my brother and I, and said, well, let's put one in my motor coach. So I'm going to show you where that's located, and we'll carry on from there. Okay, so let's talk about waste tanks. Well, the biggest thing to do to not have to worry about what you're going to do to dump your tanks is don't fill the tanks. Don't use the tanks. That's what I'm doing. I'm not using the tanks. So that water that I hauled in here, that 75 gallons of fresh water from the city, I am using it a little bit here and there. I brush my teeth with it. I wash my hands with it maybe, or very little. I'm not washing dishes with it. I'm not having a shower in the coach. I have an outside shower I'm going to show you. For dishes or shower water, I heat up water. These blue jugs here, I brought them along with the idea of getting water from the Kootenai River, which is a fresh mountain river. Not that you would drink the water right out of the river. I think you could, but I'm not going to do that. I brought this chrome thing that sits on the ground here. Looks like a coffee pot. It's called a Berkey, B-E-R-K-E-Y or K-Y. Anyway, what it's for is you pour whatever kind of water in the top. Could be pond water, murky water, puddle water. You pour it in the top of that thing, goes through a carbon filter system, and fresh drinking water comes out the bottom. Pretty cool little device to have, actually, especially if you're going to live off-grid. But what I didn't count on with bringing these blue jugs on, and I'd forgotten that even though it's June 1st today, spring runoff, like the melt up in the upper reaches of the mountains, really doesn't get underway until, man, I've seen it be spring runoff in July in this part of the world. So, and when you get rainstorms like we had the other day, those rivers got really muddy looking and brown. They weren't that nice aquamarine color anymore. So in other words, I can't count on getting real nice, fairly clean water out of the river to have a shower with or do the dishes with. And I don't really want to put really dark brown muddy water in through my Berkey. That's not the idea. So I've been hauling water from town. When I go into town to upload videos to the net or buy cups of groceries or some more beer, then I also been filling that with filling those jugs with water from Invermere Radium, and using that for, like I said, those things. Now, as far as human waste goes, because I'm not using the toilet, I'm not using the toilet in the coach. What I do have in the coach is a porta potty, one of those little, plastic porta potties with a detachable tank, and I use that just for pee only. That way I can take that tank and wander off into the trees and dump some pee in the bushes. There's no toilet tissue involved or anything. It's just liquid. So I don't think there's any concern there about that. For number 2 sit-down business, I am using and it's for the first time I've been using it is on this trip, is set up with a 5-gallon bucket and a plastic snap-on toilet seat that I bought off Amazon. You line the bucket with heavy-duty plastic bags, like garbage bags, etc., trash bags, and then you do your business into that bucket in those trash bags. And then I bought a package of those shavings that you can buy if you have pets like hamsters or guinea pigs or something where you need those cedar shavings for their cage and stuff. I bought a package of that stuff, and then you grab a handful of that and throw it in the bucket and cover up your business in there. And you know something, my brother told me that would work well, and I kept thinking, well, it's going to smell or whatever. You know what? It doesn't smell, and it's working really well. And when you're going into town, you just wrap that up, tie it up, put it in with your garbage bag. I head into town and dump it in the garbage on the way into town at a trash receptacle, usually on the highway. But anyway, so that works really well, and I'm going to show you that setup inside. So let's get on with showing you a couple of these things. Also, I want to, this coach has 2 generators. I've got a very, very good solar system that we just upgraded, me, my brother and I, just before I went on this trip. 2 big panels on the roof of this coach. Each one of them is capable of 375 watts, so that's 750 watts of power available from the sky, from the sun. And on a sunny day, man, yeah, it pumps out a lot of juice. I can basically, on a sunny day, I can run my refrigerator even on AC power all day long, just because I've got such a good solar system though, solar setup. On cloudier days, or let's say I've been running the fridge on electric all day and the batteries have got drawn down a bit, I've got 2 generators available to me. I have a big onboard diesel generator that came with the coach. It lives behind that front center panel on the front of the bus there. There's a power switch on the, watch this. There's a switch here, and there's another one inside the coach where this whole thing powers right out on a slide. And it's a 10 kilowatt Onan generator on a 4-cylinder Kubota diesel engine, okay? And that runs off the main diesel tank as well, okay? The diesel tank in this coach is, just hang on a second, eh? So the diesel tank in this coach is 200 gallons. That's a lot of diesel. And if I let that thing go empty with today's prices, I think it'd cost me like $1,800 to fill it. I've never let it get empty. I've always kept it topped up here and there. So let me just grab the camera off the tripod, and I'm going to walk you guys around and show you some of these things we're talking about here.